It's just day 2 here in Manchester, but already the quarter-final lineup is taking shape, and we'll add 2 more to the last 8 tonight. The reward for Mark Selby or Se Junhui will be a meeting with Neil Robertson starting tomorrow evening. The winner out of Mark Williams or Ding Junhui will face Karen Wilson in a match that starts on Thursday. Well, Ding turns 38 today and has proved something of an inspiration for a generation of Chinese players like Zhao Guodong, who emerged victorious this afternoon against Wu Yize. The birthday boy has been chatting to Rob Walker about being a trailblazer for a new breed of player.
I did the hardest way. I know what's the way to go more right or easier to think right, or just like don't go the wrong way. Just go straight into the right way to be a good player. Xin Tong is back to our tour, so he's the one, and then Se Junhui he's in the Siamese before, so he know how to do it. And the others, Wu, I think Wu is growing up so quickly. He not win it, but he have 2 finals. I think he really hungry to win any one of the tournaments. Yeah, those 3 is more exciting to watching because they are playing. They're playing like attacking snooker. People love to watch it, and also they are good tactics, and they're playing okay for safety. So it's a young generation to play snooker. It's like they love to put long ones, make centuries, and play fast.
And there is the birthday boy here in the practice room getting himself ready for another epic evening of snooker. And how amazing to hear him speaking so passionately about the next generation of Chinese players. And Ken, that really is Ding's legacy, not the 15 ranking titles. And what a season. 11 different Chinese players have made a quarter, 9 different Chinese players have made a semi, 5 in a final, 3 taking titles. This is a golden era for Chinese snooker.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's probably all down to this man, young man now, of course, the birthday boy. Yeah, what he's done for Chinese snooker, what he's done for snooker, you know, and of course, you know, opening the academy in Sheffield has helped a lot of the young Chinese players. Wu Yize, Guodong, Tian Pengfei, you know, all play at the Ding Junhui Academy in Sheffield, and Pang Zhongzhu, Wan Xuzhong, the list goes on, you know. And of course, Se Junhui, who plays in the Victoria Academy, you know, with Zhang Anda and Zhao Xintong. So, you know, Chinese snooker is in a very, very good place at the moment, but mainly down to this man here for what he's done for snooker, and indeed Sheffield, and with the academy as well. And you're very proud of being in Sheffield these days, your adopted home, a bit like Ding. He's been there more than 10 years. Yeah. The quality at those academies is incredible, and the dedication of the players. Yeah, absolutely, and they get great coaching in there if they want it. You know, they're looked after, you know, with their accommodation, the facilities, they're all playing on star tables. I mean, there's 18 star tables in Ding Junhui's academy. I think 8 or 9 in Victoria's academy where Se Junhui plays. So the practice facilities are there. There's no stone unturned. So they have everything for them. And yeah, it's a wonderful facility, and producing some great players. And of course, when players come over from China, they know where to go, that they're going to be looked after as well. That's very, very important. And the reason they know where to go is that the man who's turned 38 today paved the way for an entire generation. Ding Junhui, still going strong 2 years before he turns 40. Good luck tonight, birthday boy.
Yeah, big happy birthday to Ding, who's desperately trying to ignore Ken and Rob up in the practice room and get on with the business in hand. He's in a nice lead, 5-3 up on Mark Williams. How do you see that one developing tonight?
It's a nice lead to have. Obviously, the start of that match was awful. I mean, both players, the first 2-3 frames, really couldn't string 2-3 pots together. You would expect a sort of reaction from Mark Williams tonight, but Ding started to play quite well at the end of that session, so Mark's got his job cut out for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, the thing when they played in the last event in Telford and Mark said he couldn't see him, I don't think Ding would have taken too kindly to that. You know, hang on, you know, I didn't play well either, but I can't let this man just beat me, turn up with contact lenses to beat me again. So there's a lot of pride at stake for Ding, you know, and it's a long match. Yes, you know, I mean, he celebrated a birthday during the match, you know, 2-day matches. It's kind of a real test of where his game is at, and I think tonight will be a lot better than, as Stephen said, the first part of that match, which was not very good.
Well, he's halfway into the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
We'll find out, because we have got A couple of choice matches for you coming up. You can decide whether to watch the Mark Williams-Ding Junhui clash. That's on ITVX. You'll need to switch over for that one. But we'd love you to stay here.
Welcome to the second day of the £500,000 Tour Championship here in Manchester, where this evening there's more first-round action for you here on Table 2. On ITVX, we're bringing you the defending champion, Mark Williams, trailing by a couple of frames overnight against Ding Junhui. Stephen Hallworth is alongside me, and it really was an extraordinary evening for Ding, because early on he looked terrible, but was playing really well by the end of the session.
Yeah, that's right. I think he'll be so pleased to come out overnight with an advantage. Any sort of advantage would have felt like a big result for Ding. Just think back to that first frame, Michael. Mark Williams missed the final black, didn't he, to take it, and then played brilliantly well. So Ding could have been trailing by a big deficit, but managed to turn it around, and everything's play for tonight.
And we were talking a lot last night about it being the first time Mark had played in contact lenses. Did you notice any signs that he was struggling to adjust?
I don't think so. I think he feels comfortable. He looks comfortable. I've seen him up in the practice room as well. I had a little knock next to him earlier on, and yeah, he was crunching them in on the practice table, so there's no reason why he can't do it out there in the arena. Look, we've got two quality players ahead of us tonight, and they could spark into action at any point.
Mark Williams, of course, the defending champion here in Manchester, where he won the title last year, having had to start from round one when he made that amazing clearance against Tom Ford. Let's join our MC then. This is Gabby Partington.
Yes, thanks, Jill. Well, welcome back to the evening session of one of the best events on the snooker calendar. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's a Sportsbet.io Tour Championship. Please welcome back on Table 2 a player who claimed this season's international championship on home soil. It is Ding Junhui. And he faces a player looking to defend his title, a three-time world champion. It is Mark Williams. And on Table 1, please welcome back a finalist in 2 ranking events, including this season's Wuhan Open, the Pearl Si Xiaohui. This is my kingdom come. Up against the 4-time King of the Crucible, the world number 3, it's the jester from Leicester, Mark Selby.
What's the sense in sharing this one and only life? Ending up just another lost and lonely wife.
To say Ding Junhui took a while to get going last night would be understatement on a grand scale, but once he did, it was a burst of vintage Ding, and 2 big breaks to finish secured a 2-frame overnight lead. Mark Williams walked out to Delilah, and you have to say, over the years, it's not unusual for him to turn around a deficit. Much bigger ones than this he's overcome in the past.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Frame 9, Ding Junhui to break.
But if Ding Junhui picks up where he left off on Monday night, it's going to be a tall order for the holder of this title.
Yeah, I think the way that Ding finished that session yesterday evening was so impressive, wasn't it? Because it was a little bit stop-start, and it felt like it was taking a while for the game to get going properly. But breaks of 116 and a 78 to close out last night was super impressive.
Yeah, the opening frame last night was like a collection of snooker curiosities, all kinds of strange things happening. And Mark Williams had first go at the black, which it came down to. He missed, Ding potted it, but then the next couple of frames, very strange from Ding's point of view. He was really struggling to do anything at all, looked fed up. Remarkable so early on in the match. I was talking to Stephen Hendry last night when we got back to the hotel, and he was saying Ding looked like he just wasn't interested and didn't care in that part of the match. And it was hard to disagree. But then suddenly he found something from somewhere when he got a chance to level at 2-all going to the mid-session interval, made a break of 63 and then took the lead when they returned. Williams levelled again, but Ding by the end was in full flow. Breaks of 116 and 78. Saw him pull away from 3-all to get this 5-3 advantage.
Well, it seemed a very risky route that Ding was playing there to try and get back to baulk. It looked as if he couldn't possibly catch that red thick enough to avoid the back of the black, so opted for the thin side, and, well, it's gone very wrong.
One.
Yeah, I must say I do agree with what Stephen Hendry said about the body language of Ding yesterday. It was not good, really, was it, to see, you know, as a player, you're looking for any sort of weakness out there from your opponent, and Ding gave plenty for Mark Williams to be happy about. Seeing him slumped in his chair and his focus looked a little out. That's why I think it's so commendable that Ding managed to get out of that session with a lead.
7.
Of course, today is a different day.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk yesterday about the fact that Williams was playing in contact lenses for the first time, having struggled with his eyesight at the Players' Championship, even in his win there against Ding. He did look a bit edgy early on, which wasn't like him, and may have had something to do with the lenses. And perhaps there's a slightly different feel. He seemed to put that out of his thoughts pretty quickly. Played well then for the next couple of frames.
13.
So he's left himself an angle enough here to give this red every chance down the cushion. These pockets have been on the tight side. And there you see, he's annoyed with himself. He left a good angle there. Disappointed. Early chance has been missed.
Yeah, there have been a couple of times in this match we've seen him react like that to a miss, which is unusual. He's 50 now, of course. Maybe he's becoming an angry old man.
1.
Playing up to the part. Okay, so what a chance now for Ding. 5-3 is one of those leads where it's not massive, but you sort of feel if you're in that position and then you make any kind of decent start to the next session, suddenly the lead can become very big quite quickly.
9.
I think as well, everybody knows, every player particularly knows how good Ding Junhui is in amongst the business end of the table. When he gets the reds in this sort of position, he's usually so clinical.
Ding Junhui is attempting to do something tonight that's never been done before, because no defending champion has ever lost a match in the Tour Championship. Neil Robertson
17.
successfully defended the title in 2022, but in all the other years, the defending champion hasn't done enough even to be in the field.
$24. $25.
So he's got the one red at the back of the pack. The red he's just looking at now. In playing on that, he'll be leaving himself quite low, so Q will be going through the reds. It's a bit of a gamble. Does have the loose red to play on. He's got a pretty decent angle on this black. Just weighing up his options here, Ding. Wants to try and punish that mistake of Mark Williams. Okay, so it is the red at the back of the pack.
32.
Now, dependent on the angle he's got, make him run through and push more reds into play. Just develop the two that are stuck together.
33.
That's okay. He might be slightly hampered over the top of this red, but he's one good pot away from being back in prime position.
Celebrating his birthday today, turning 38, and as you'll know, if you were with us last night, because we were talking about it then,
41.
This week is also a landmark in the sense that it brings us to 20 years since he came out of nowhere, really, to win the China Open as an 18-year-old. I say out of nowhere, we knew about him, but I don't think we felt he was quite on the brink of winning a tournament just yet.
Well, this is a key shot
48.
coming up now. He's left himself very low on this red. Tricky pot. He'll be bringing all the other reds into play as well.
49.
Oh, the red has just about wriggled in, but he's not out of the woods just yet. That cue ball unable to come away from that side cushion. This now a pressure black. Yeah, and that's brilliant cueing. Very well played. Okay, won't be too happy with the positional side of the shot, but the black going in keeps him control of the table.
56.
Third frame in a row that he's reached the half-century mark.
Ding Junhui, 56.
Well, it took a while to get going last night, as we were saying. Into his stride quickly at the start of this evening's play, which is bad news for Mark Williams. Took Ding until the fourth frame to even make a 40 break last night.
Just wonder now if Ding can get Mark in trouble, send the red away from the brown, try and get the cue ball in behind it.
Well, that was the idea. Didn't quite work out. And that doesn't appear to have worked out at all for Williams. So, Ding already with a significant lead in this frame. Doesn't need a great deal more to finish it off.
One.
As we were saying last night, Ding actually has the better of their career head-to-head. 11 wins to 7. Also a draw in the old Premier League 15 years ago now.
7.
So lead goes to 49. And a routine red is frame ball.
13.
Yeah, it's been a good visit. It's been a good frame, really, from Ding.
14.
Well, if Williams wasn't going to raise his level, he needed Ding to drop his, and the early indications are that he's resuming exactly where he ended Monday's play. So Williams has got to find something here. Got in first, but only made 20. Was well off target with his attempt at a long red on his last visit to the table. And that is what paved the way for this clinching visit from Ding.
22.
And opening up a 3-frame advantage at a pretty important stage of the match. Keeping Mark Williams at arm's length at the moment.
Yeah, and for most of last night, there was never more than a frame 24. In it either way.
25. $29. 31.
Not often you make 2 breaks over 50 in the same frame, but could happen here.
$34. 38. 43. 49.
56 from his first chance, 56 from his second. A fine start to life as a 38-year-old for Ding Junhui, and he goes 3 clear of the defending champ. It's 6-3. Mark Williams got the first chance of the night, but only made 20 from it. And then this happened, Stephen.
Yeah, it was a tricky little red, wasn't it, early on in the game, but you didn't expect him to miss it. He left himself an angle enough that he didn't need to do too much with the cue ball there, but ultimately that cost him the first really good chance.
Frame 10.
Yeah, and when he missed the long red later on, that gave Ding his second chance from which he finished the job he'd started. So Williams now with a lot to do here, 6-3 down. We were talking about his eyesight, and you noticed something actually during that previous frame, Stephen.
Yeah, he was sort of sat in his chair, just covering one eye and looking out of one and then switching to the other as if he was just sort of testing one eye over the other. I'm not sure if that, you know, he's got an issue with the eye still, but or maybe it's just down to the fact that he's still not 100% confident over the contact situation. Well, only Mark will know, of course.
Yeah, that strange situation, didn't we, a few years ago when Sam Craigie, professional from the northeast of England, had been playing with contact lenses, then decided to try glasses at the Northern Ireland Open, went out and played like one of the all-time greats, and then decided, no, I don't fancy wearing these, and just put the glasses in the bin. Yeah, we can actually see what you were talking about, Stephen. This is what he was doing with his eyes, having a bit of a talking to himself, and then this.
One.
Probably wishes he hadn't been able to see the outcome of that shot, because he's let Ding in again.
He's absolutely perfect here on the blue to get straight into that main cluster. Pink full in the face, plenty of backspin. Where's the red going?
Foul. Ding Junhui 1.
Well, that's the risk you take when you're playing that shot. You check the pack for any obvious plants. As you can see from there was none. That is so unlucky. He caught that pack of reds absolutely spot on. He's played it the correct way as well, full-blooded into them, control the cue ball in the middle of the table, get the red spread far and wide. As I say, there's always a chance that that can happen. You feel very hard done by when it does. Now, what can Mark do? Can he punish him? First few shots of this contribution, absolutely key for Mark. This black is tricky.
He just doesn't look himself, does he? He's showing frustration, he's having little head shakes, talking to himself, and at the moment the play isn't what we're used to seeing from him either.
Yeah, he played that black at a good pace for me. I'm not sure if it just pulled up towards the end. When he struck it, I was convinced it would drop. Be interesting to see that black once again. And here it is. When he struck it there, I thought it was in, and just towards the end, I felt it just crept up a fraction.
Well, that is just pure quality. Why are Asian players always so good into the middle pockets? It's amazing. Going all the way back to James Watanabe 30-odd years ago.
Yeah, that was so good from Ding. Okay, the red wiped its feet on the way in, but the cannon to the pink was even more impressive. Just a little half-ball brush cannon to push it onto the middle pocket. That was wonderful.
7.
Always nice to go to your favourite place on your birthday. And this sort of table is very much Ding's favourite place. Prime scoring territory.
8.
Yeah, Ding's looking in good stroke tonight. He could do some damage to this little mini session.
$15. 16.
There isn't really much work to be done with these 7, 8 reds around the pink. At some point, he'll probably play a little cannon to the reds just beneath the pink, they're too close together just to hold the cue ball, bring them into play, and then it's pretty much plain sailing. There is the cannon, so they're all in play now.
23.
It's great to hear him talking before the match about the younger Chinese players, the generation that he inspired to come through. He really has become the godfather of Chinese snooker. Seen other tournament winners come through from that country over the years, but his career record is still so far, so distantly ahead of anyone else from China. It's actually quite similar to the stature Mark Williams has in Wales these days. He's been a great mentor to some young players, most notably Jackson Page.
30.
Yeah, just his all-round contributions to snooker in general is just, you know, so good. I think even if a Chinese player was to go past Ding in terms of what he's actually won on the table, he'll always be the governor, won't he?
47.
I think one of the most overused words these days is trailblazer, but it's so true. There were Chinese players before, made a little bit of an impact here and there, but nobody had come anywhere close to being regarded as any sort of top player. And it's funny how it happens with nationalities. People perhaps have a bit of doubt as to whether or not they can make it, because nobody from their part of the world has ever done it before. Someone's got to be the first, and when you're the first to do something,
43.
You're the first forever.
$44.
That's a good view. Right down the line of Ding's cue there. Dead straight, laser-like cueing. Delivered it perfectly. Well, he's lost his cue ball somewhat.
51.
Although, I think it's landed in the one spot where he can actually get the tip of the cue through the pink and the red to strike the central part of the cue ball. Although he's not where he intended to be.
Although he has made the pot, you could say the same about the position he's in now. Fifth break. Oh, sorry, Stephen. Just going to remark that that's his fifth break over 50 now in 4 frames.
Yeah, and he was looking brilliant up until that previous black, wasn't he? What a mistake that was. Under no pressure, really. Hand on table. Quite glaring positional error. Something we're not used to saying about Ding when he's in amongst them.
Available. Then Junhui 52.
Quite a similar start to the frame as we had in the first of the night. Williams got in early, made very little. Ding's made a half century. And run out of position and played safe.
And I don't think he'll be very impressed with the safety shot he just played on the yellow Ding. He was trying to get a colour ball safe there, just for a little bit of insurance. He'll be feeling comfortable enough, but there will be an air of anxiety about him still. Dangerous table, should Mark get a chance.
I said we were talking about Williams and his eyesight issues. The other big narrative surrounding this match is that it's the start of a tournament which gives Williams his first chance to become the oldest ever ranking event winner. Such thoughts will seem a long way off at the moment, the way this match is going. Not his night so far. How close is that?
Only the pace kept that one from dropping. Just goes to show how accurate you have to be into these middle pockets, and even when you are accurate, which Mark was there, sometimes the pace just won't allow them to drop.
Black was frame ball. And it's going to be 4 frames in a row for Ding. It's hard to believe this is the same player we were watching around about this time last night. Fearing from having any chance at all of avoiding a heavy defeat the way it was going. But something turned it round. From a fine finish
16
to Monday night. Made a very excellent start to Tuesday evening. Totally in control at the moment.
Yeah, and this is what the best players in the world can do. They can just go for spells in long matches like this where they just win 3, 4, 5 frames on the bounce very quickly as well. Almost break the back of the match. It's up to Mark Williams to try and muster something to do the same to Ding now.
$25. Junhui 25.
So it's another frame that Ding has controlled throughout. 4 in a row for him. And all of a sudden, he's only 3 away from a place in the quarterfinals. Ding Junhui is very much in control here against the defending champion Mark Williams in the first round of the Tour Championship. Since it was 3-all, Williams has totaled only 26 points in the subsequent 4 frames.
Ding
has made 5 breaks of 50 or more in those 4 frames. Consequently, he's won them all, and at 7-3, he's a big favourite now to advance to the last 8.
And again, got very close to the red, but when it's not your night, that tends to be the outcome. Felt that the only red he could leave in attempting that long red was the red that he was taking on, and of course that's exactly what's happened. So first real chance falls to Ding.
1.
He really could win the match in this little mini session, Ding, here. This frame and 1 more to come before the mid-session interval. Mark really needs to win them both. At the very least, he needs to win one of them.
6. Ding Junhui, 6.
Always hard to pop shots like that with that much pace.
Just got to be careful if he's coming off the left side of the pack that doesn't catch the blue on the way back to balk. Needs to catch these reds thin. Played it well.
Obviously, we know about his scoring prowess. But as a fellow player, Stephen, how do you rate Ding tactically over the years?
I don't think you really think of Ding as a tactical player. If you know, when you say Ding's name, it's all about his cue ball control, isn't it? And his scoring. That's when he's at his best. But you know, to be at the top of the game for as long as he has been, there's obviously a tactical game in there. He knows what he's doing on the snooker table, that's for sure. But he's always played to his strengths, hasn't he? He's always played an attacking game. He'll quite often shy away from going to the trenches, and he'll play the attacking shot if he has that chance to. That's where he backs himself.
Williams, one of those very elite group of players in the game's history. Well, you don't really question any department of the game. So good at absolutely everything involved. And over the years, one of his greatest strengths has been long potting, but it's not firing for him at the moment.
Yeah, and you only have to be slightly off on these super reactive conditions. Here is the initial long red that Mark attempted, got very close but missed it. Once again, a little check of the eyes. Certainly not 100%.
He was the man who made the sight right method famous. At the moment, he seems to be struggling for any sight at all.
Game ball.
And off we go again, perhaps.
Four.
You know, the last time they met in a multi-session match was 9 years ago, and that ended up being an absolute landslide for Ding. Again, it had been quite a close start, but he just pulled away and was unstoppable. Winning 13-3 in the World Championship, the year that he went on to get within a few frames of becoming champion of the world.
Yeah, and again, I remember that score sheet actually from that game, and it was exactly what we was just talking about. He made 12 breaks over 50 in that 13-3 win, and that's what Ding's all about, just heavy, relentless scoring. So hard to stop. To be fair, it's a theme of the modern game, really, isn't it? You know, if you can't score, you're not going to compete, really, at any level.
12.
Seen it right from the amateur circuit, right the way through to the top of the game. You have to be able to score. That's where you win your matches.
Yeah, and younger fans of the game might assume it was always like that, but it certainly wasn't. There were some players who had great success a generation or two ago who were never heavy scorers.
Well, a very attacking shot there, and Ding clearly thought that the cue ball would have been held down this business end of the table. He's just lost it to the top half, but there you see, everything he's touching at the minute is turning to gold. He's found the gap through the reds.
20.
Not very often Mark Williams looks phased. He's very good at keeping his emotions in check and not letting off too much to his opponent, but I can assume that alarm bells will probably be ringing round about now.
But you wonder, is it alarm bells in a wider context as well? Because he's 50 now, he's struggling with his eyesight. Doesn't take much to start seeing the end coming into view. And I know he's been having conversations privately where he's been saying to people that he feels he might be coming to the end. Now, of course, it's classic Mark Williams to say things like that and play mind games with people just for the fun of it, really. But you can't discount these thoughts, as he's acknowledged himself.
35.
Can't go on forever. It's always grouped in the class of 92. They all turned 50 this year, so they're all getting close to the stage where they'll have a chance to be the oldest ever ranking event winner. For John Higgins, it will be from the start of next season, from around about Christmas time for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Assuming, of course, someone else hasn't broken it in the meantime.
Just on Mark, though, I can only assume that if he didn't have any tournaments now, if this was the end of the season and he's got 2 or 3 months to, you know, really knuckle down and put some hours in on the practice table, I think it's just a case of getting used to it. It's just different. The difference is he's playing against one of the best players in the world in a match of such importance. Every little mistake, and that's all it takes at times, just a very small mistake, it will be punished heavily, and he's not really able to work on that out there 51. In the arena.
$52.
Yeah, all true. Thing is, of course, he claims he doesn't practice much nowadays, and you never know with him whether or not that's true. And what is certainly undeniable is there have been many times in his long career where he's gone through spells of not really having the motivation to put the effort in, and that's actually fair enough when you've achieved as much as he
59.
has. But let's focus for a moment on the man at the table, who, by depositing that red
60.
into the middle pocket, has yet again arrived very swiftly at frame ball.
$65.
He's already had
66.
1 century in this match. It was the break of 116 in frame 7, which was the start of what's now going to be a 5-frame winning run. So many players at the moment closing in on landmarks in terms of their career century totals. Ding is one of them. He needs 8 more to get to 700.
71.
Chances are he's still going to be looking for 8 more after this frame.
Ding Junhui, 78.
That indeed is the case, but Ding Junhui continuing to absolutely dominate here. It's another swift frame. It's now 8-3, and he's a couple away from knocking out the reigning champion. Round about 9 o'clock last night, this first round match between Mark Williams and Ding Junhui was level at 3 frames all. Since then, 116, 78, 56, 56 again, 52, and 78 again, all from Ding Junhui. He's 8-3 in front.
It was a great shot, that, as we arrived back for this frame. If it wasn't bad enough losing a match, they light your poster up in red.
It'll be appropriate. Mark Williams has seen red a number of times in this match, showing his frustration with some of the mistakes he's made. Ding Junhui standing there Obviously that picture was taken some time ago, but I think it probably reflects his mood right now. Arms folded and a big grin on his face. Certainly how he'll be feeling inside. It's turning in to the happiest of birthdays.
Yeah, I think he'll feel really comfortable, won't he? Okay, he's got a strong lead in this match, but he won't, or hopefully won't, let his guard down, because he doesn't want to give Mark Williams a sniff, or just to try and get back into this game in any way. It's up to this man Ding Junhui to try and pile the pressure on at the death of this match. Try and kill it off as quickly as he can. He's looked incredibly good so far this evening. There's no reason why he shouldn't.
Mark Williams does have such a track record of turning around matches from quite a few frames behind, we have to remember. Goes all the way back to his first world title winning year, 25 years ago this year. He was well behind in the semi-final against John Higgins and in the final against Matthew Stevens. And then just threw off the shackles, freewheeled, and ended up coming from behind against both of them. But it really, really doesn't look like happening tonight. This is turning into a bit of a nightmare. And on his birthday, it feels like everything is coming gift wrapped for Ding right now.
Yeah, he's scored great, Ding, hasn't he? And every time he's got in, he's looked like doing a lot of damage to the frame, but you're right. Chances he has been presented with, the balls have been quite nicely spread, and the balls that Mark has taken on and missed, they've all ran into favourable positions for Ding, so he's not really had to work hard for these chances.
5.
Birthdays have been mixed blessing for players over the years. Mark Williams is the only player I can think of anyway, unless someone else knows different, who ever won a ranking tournament on his birthday. Jimmy White, of course, missed the black on his birthday in the World Final.
10.
Last of his 6 World Finals, all of which he lost.
11.
Played into quite a big area down this right side of the table. He's got
14.
2 reds available above the black that will pot to left corner pocket. Wants to try and get that black open as quickly as possible.
14.
Again, just using another red to hold the cue
21.
ball and push another into play.
$22.
The way the ranking system is structured nowadays, it's so weighted towards winning tournaments, and in particular, certain tournaments. The International Championship offers so many points to the winner, and that's really why Ding is here at the Tour Championship, because other than that, I wouldn't say it's been an outstanding season for him. He's lost his opening match in 5 ranking tournaments.
27.
He's been chipping away with the last 16s, plenty of those.
28.
But I always say there's very little point coming into any match or tournament trying to make any assessment of Ding's chances on the basis of his form, because he's just so capable of suddenly turning it on, arriving at a tournament, not being talked about, and just winning it. Equally so, there have been times where he's arrived at big events as the man everyone's talking about.
33.
And got nowhere.
Just looks very much in control of himself tonight, Ding. Seems very comfortable out there, striking the ball nicely again. Got that white under complete control.
41.
It's a nice feeling this as a player.
42.
Something he's experienced so much over the years, no doubt about it, but when you're in cruise control in a big match, in a big arena, in a big tournament, it can only be no better feeling.
$49.
This shot brings everything into play.
50.
Again, played the percentages, a little bit more pace on the cue ball into a big area, couldn't fail to land on a colour, and now he's got the reds perfect.
And he's reached 50 yet again. Well, we heard Stephen Hendry talking earlier on this evening, saying you'd expect some sort of reaction from Mark Williams, and of course you would, but it just hasn't happened at all. He would have come out here tonight wanting to use all his tablecraft, all his years of experience, make it as hard as possible for Ding.
54.
And all that's happened is things have continued much the same way as they finished on Monday night.
$59.
You're just looking for this one golden little mini session in these big matches, and this has certainly been it for Ding. This spell of breaks he's
60.
made has pretty much broken the back of this match now.
Yeah, one snooker needed already. He's going to make absolutely sure of it.
67.
By adding more. It's another chance for his second century of the match.
68. $75. 76.
Mark Williams has pulled off plenty of unlikely comebacks over the years. Given the way he's playing, given the way his opponent is playing, given the fact that he now needs to win 7 frames in a row, this would be just about the most unlikely of all.
84.
Look at that, he just can't get enough. He's getting greedy now. Wants everything to go in.
91.
This is wonderful stuff. And great to see him enjoying it so much, because
92.
sure we would all agree there have been times we've watched him out there and he hasn't looked like he is. And almost certainly going to be a ton now.
Yeah, this has been brilliant from Ding. It's great to see him playing like this again. This really
97.
is vintage Ding Junhui, isn't it?
99.
Not yet to reach the end of the second day, and that is the 10th century already in this year's Tour Championship.
Ding Junhui,
So for the 4th time in 6 frames, Mark Williams did not pot a ball in that one. He didn't pot many in the other 2 either. So Ding has won 6 in a row. He now leads 9-3. And when they return from mid-session, he'll just need 1 more to end Williams' reign as Tour champion.
Who, in your opinion, is the greatest match player we've ever seen?
John Higgins. Can put you in knots, scores really, really heavy. Clearances from behind. I think he's the master at that.
Best long potter?
Probably tough between Sean Murphy and Neil Robertson for best long potter. Neil probably a little more consistent, but Sean, when he's on, is relentless sometimes.
Who's got the best cue action in the game? Past or present?
I'm going to stick with the ones that I know more of in the present and go with Neil Robertson. Now, sometimes I watch Neil and wonder how he misses balls. It looks perfect every time.
Who's the best with the rest?
You know what, the conversation's always between Sean and Kyron, but I'm going to throw in a spanner and say Barry Hawkins. Very underrated, and every time I play him, he seems to pot every awkward ball into the sun with the rest, so I'm going to go Barry and let the other 2 fight out.
Greatest safety game?
Mark Selby.
Who's got the strongest mentality on the table that you've ever encountered or watched?
Mark Selby again. Yeah, the man just never knows when he's beaten. Can win tournaments, win world championships without being at his best, and yeah, mark of a champion there.
Who's the best break builder?
Ronnie. I don't think there's any doubt that Judd will probably surpass his records, but you know, we have a lot more tournaments now than there once was, but I think, yeah, Ronnie's the standout. He's an absolute genius on the table.
And is there one supreme tactician?
I think Selby. Yeah, I think there's sometimes you can play him and he can do funny things to your mind. You don't feel part of the game, you just get frozen out. But ultimately, he's a great scorer and no potter as well, and I think that sometimes that gets overlooked.
Dave Hendon, snooker commentator extraordinaire, historian of the sport, statistician of the sport. Here come your Players Series quiz questions for 2024. Who's your snooker hero?
Growing up, Steve Davis.
Who is or was snooker's pantomime villain?
Well, I think Stephen has sort of claimed that role, hasn't he? I think he quite enjoys it.
Hendry or Doherty?
They're both magnificent. I couldn't possibly choose between them.
What's your favourite snooker venue in Britain away from the Crucible?
I think all time would be Wembley Conference Centre. It's not there now, but that was a fantastic venue for the Masters.
And what about an international snooker venue?
Oh, the Tempodrome in Berlin is absolutely brilliant. The fans there make that event one of the best on the circuit.
If you had made it as a player, what would be your walk-on tune?
Well, it was big if. I would say it would be something by David Bowie, maybe Heroes.
Who, in your opinion, is the funniest person in snooker?
All the years I've been in it, I would actually say it was your predecessor, Alan Hughes, who was the MC for many years, and he was absolutely hilarious. He had every joke, every line you could think of.
Who's the funniest person on the existing ITV team?
There's plenty of them. I would say probably Neil Folds.
Who's been the biggest influence on your career, your broadcasting career as a whole?
Without question, Clive Everton. I learnt so much from him.
Who's your best friend or one of your best friends on the snooker circuit?
It'd have to be Phil Yates. I've known him for so many years, and you know, we obviously work together a lot, and yeah, it wouldn't be the same without Phil around.
Which snooker player or ITV pundit would you recommend for I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here?
Wow. I'd quite like to see Alan McManus go in because, you know, Alan doesn't stand for any messing around. I think he will sort of take charge of the camp maybe quite early on. Yeah.
Do you have a nickname that you can share with us or not?
I suppose Hendo is the obvious one, isn't it, really? Yeah.
I've sometimes lapsed into calling you Henderooney. I don't get the impression that's gone down too well.
To be fair, only you've called me that.
First ever job?
Market researcher. Door to door.
What was the subject?
Everything. Soap powder, anything, yeah.
Favourite film?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Who would play you in a film of your life?
I would say Michael Sheen, because Michael Sheen plays everybody.
Favourite album?
Pulp, different class.
Anything really embarrassing that's happened to you, either connected with snooker broadcasting or just general life?
Well, as a playwright, I was once the only nominee in a theatre award, and I still didn't win. So that was quite embarrassing.
I don't know if Ding Junhui has any birthday celebrations in mind, but he may get to start them a bit earlier than any of us would have been expecting. From 5-3, at the start of the evening. He's raced away to 9-3, and he only needs one more frame to go through to the quarterfinals and end Mark Williams' grip on this title. Well, we've seen Mark Williams turn around a lot of matches in the past, Joe Perry, but all the signs tonight are he is not in the frame of mind to be doing that.
Doesn't look likely, does it? He's been froze out his first 4 frames this evening. He had a couple of chances, not taken them, and things just getting stronger and stronger as the match goes on.
Yeah, it would be 7 frames in a row required from Mark Williams. It'd be the first time ever that a defending champion has lost a match in the Tour Championship, because Neil Robertson successfully defended after he won it for the first time. But all the other years, except this one, the defending champion hasn't even accumulated enough ranking points during the season to come back and have the chance to defend. So they're back, but for how long? Ding Junhui simply playing wonderfully well.
Frame 13.
And it's going to take something remarkable to happen now for him not to advance to the last 8. And a meeting with the world champion, and very much the man of the moment after his win in Telford, Kyron Wilson. One more needed then for Ding to advance. More of the same, you have to say, from Mark Williams' point of view. I think that shot really typifies how this evening has gone for him. And who's to say it won't be Williams' last shot of the tournament? Big Chinese community in Manchester, and so many of them have come here. Cheer on one of their nation's greatest sporting heroes.
Foul. Ding Junhui 1, Mark Williams 5.
Well, you can smile like that at an in-off. And you've had the sort of evening he's had. Six frames in a row now for Ding, and the aggregate points in those frames are 571 to 30. Williams has had 2 scoring visits in all that time. He's now missed as many long balls as he's potted in this match. And it's just as well for him. There isn't a stat that measures how much of a margin you've missed your long pots by.
Yeah, when you've not potted a ball for over half an hour, them long ones are tougher than they probably normally would be. Same as this shot here. You know, this is even on top form, dominating the table. That's a tough pot. You'd be looking for an easy starter if he's going to make any kind of comeback in this match. But as much as Mark Williams has struggled, it's nice to see Ding Junhui playing well again. We watched him really struggle at the Players' Championship a couple of weeks ago, and then the first 4 frames of this match was a hell of a struggle for him. We did wonder whether there was any kind of form there, but he found something in the second session after the interval yesterday. And he's pushed on. And he's looking more like his old self. Scoring very freely. Knocking a few long ones in as well, which is a much more positive sign for Ding, because he's always good in amongst them. But it's his long game that's let him down recently.
It's only 18 days till the World Championship begins. Mark Williams is going to have to go back to the drawing board during that time. As we've said, he's been trying contact lenses. Hard to know how much of a factor that's been, but he did seem edgy to me at the start last night in a way that you don't normally see from him. May have been to do with that. This evening we've seen him fiddling and fidgeting with his eyes a number of times. Maybe a limit to how much you can do about it in the space of about 2.5 weeks.
Six. Seven.
Well, this is a realistic chance now for Ding Junhui. Well, these two reds are situated. The two reds available at the bottom of the pack. Could potentially use one of those
14.
To bring some more reds into play at some point. And we watched him last night towards the end of that session. It was
15.
A bit of a masterclass in break building, where he picks them off and develops the pack without any luck involved whatsoever. It's all very inch-perfect stuff.
$22.
Just been so effective from situations
23.
like this since, well, really, midway through the second part of last night's session and all through tonight.
Yeah, Ding plays such a perfectionist game in amongst the black spot. Again, it looks like for the average person he's okay on this red, but Ding wanted to be a completely different angle there so he could
31.
Play into the reds when potting that red. Now he's got to rely on a little bit of good fortune, which is what he doesn't like doing. So top spin, power into the pack. This is going to be okay, I think. There's a red close to right middle. It looks okay from
48.
our angle. But that's the perfectionist that Ding is. He doesn't like just playing hard into packs of reds. He likes to know where they're all going to finish. But this time it's okay, especially if he knocks this one in. It's a clear-cut chance to win frame and match.
39.
You know, when Ray Reardon won a ranking event just past his 50th birthday, for a long time I think people thought that's one of those very few records that you just can't ever see being beaten. As the oldest ever ranking event winner, and then as the likes of Ronnie O'Sullivan, John Higgins and Mark Williams all moved close to 50 and were still winning tournaments, well, we realised it could become vulnerable. And this was the very first chance for someone to overtake Reardon, because on the day of the final, Williams will be 2 days older than his fellow Welsh legend was all those years ago.
45.
Well, it looks as though that possibility will last just a few more minutes. Seventh frame in a row that Ding has reached the half-century mark.
52.
And one of those frames he did it twice.
Yeah, like a lot of the greats though, and these players get ahead of steam and they hit the front and they've got a nice lead. They don't sort of hesitate to cross the winning line, do they? They don't flinch at the thought of winning. Very ruthless when they get their opponent in this position. Just press
58.
on.
$59.
One of the few players to have made 7 centuries in a single match. Closing in on 700 tons in his career. And with that, he arrives at match ball.
66.
Yeah, he's made light work this evening, hasn't he? He took his chances well. Okay, he's not had much coming back at him from Mark Williams, but you've still got to keep putting them, keep your opponent under pressure, and that's what he's done. So he's looked very good this evening, Ding Junhui. It's nice to see.
Yeah, and it'll be fascinating to see
74.
if he can hold on to this form for a couple of days. And put it on show again.
75.
He faces the world champ.
$82.
So he's going to finish the match having made 9 breaks over 50. Oh, well, it won't be a third century to finish.
Thank you. Ding Junhui.
Well, he was really struggling last night when he was 2-1 down, but after that, Ding Junhui won 9 of the next 10 frames. He's finished with a run of 7 in a row. Happy birthday, Ding Junhui. I'll see you again on Thursday to play Kyron Wilson in the quarters.